Okay, let's try a little experiment. I want you to picture the last time you went to the doctor.
Mm,
Maybe it was for that nagging lower back pain that just won't quit, no matter how many ergonomic chairs you buy.
right.
Or maybe it was for that low-level anxiety, that sort of hum of dread that wakes you up at 3 a.m. You go in, you describe the symptom, and
hmm
what happened?
Usually,
Yeah.
you get a prescription. That's what happens. Back hurts. Here's a muscle relaxer. Anxious. Well, here's something to alter your serotonin levels. We treat the part that screams the loudest.
Exactly. We treat the squeaky wheel. But what if I told you that the map we're using is, well, it's completely wrong? What if your back pain isn't a back problem?
Okay.
Like, what if your anxiety isn't a brain problem?
Yeah.
And here's the real kicker. What if that stubborn weight you can't lose despite eating salads and hitting the gym has absolutely nothing to do with calories?
It's a provocative premise, isn't it? Because
Yes.
we are so conditioned to view the body as like a collection of separate parts, like a car.
Yeah, totally like a car.
If the tire is flat, you fix the tire. You don't check the engine.
Right, but we are organic, not mechanical. And today, we are going to explore a completely different roadmap. We are diving deep into a fascinating conversation from the Wisdom podcast featuring Mohammed Boulahrir.
Hmm.
He's an expert in emotional health, an author, and the founder of the Power Academy. And let me tell you, the sources we have today are they're going to flip the script on how you view your own health.
Bueller's interesting because he sits right at that intersection of fields that, they usually don't talk to each other.
Not at all.
He bridges the gap between Western medicine, which is, let's be honest, obsessed with the physical,
Right.
and Eastern traditions, which focus more on the energetic. He operates in what he calls the gut-brain-emotion triangle.
The gut-brain-emotion triangle. I love that. It sounds like a Bermuda Triangle for health problems if you don't understand it.
It really can be.
Our mission for this deep dive is to move way beyond the standard eat your veggies and drink more water advice. We are going to unpack why traditional medicine so often misses the root cause of chronic illness.
Because it ignores the energetic body.
Exactly. We're going to talk about how everything from your screen time to that anger you swallowed like 5 years ago is impacting your digestion right now.
And we're going to get into the gritty mechanics of it. This isn't just, think positive thoughts and everything will be fine. We're going to look at the biology. Why healthy food might actually be toxic for you specifically. Why eating 6 small meals a day, which we've been told for decades is the holy grail of metabolism, might be wrecking your immune system.
Oh, that one.
Okay.
We are definitely getting to that one.
And we'll even look at how things like red light therapy could be the missing link for your thyroid.
The eating frequency thing honestly blew my mind. It goes against everything I learned in, the 90s.
Oh, for sure.
But we'll get there. Let's start the foundation. Boulahrir makes a really bold claim early in the source material. He says almost every single physical complaint, whether it's burnout, hormonal issues, gut problems, has an underlying emotional component.
Right.
Yeah.
And to understand this, we have to acknowledge what he calls the Western blind spot.
Okay.
In Western medicine, we are fantastic at acute care. I mean, if you get hit by a bus or you break your leg, Western medicine is a miracle. We fix the structure, we look at the tissues, the cells, the blood.
No question.
But Boulahrir points out that we almost completely ignore the energetic body.
Okay, energetic body. I have to stop you there. That sounds a little woo-woo, doesn't it?
It does, I get it.
It sounds like something you hear at a crystal shop. What does he actually mean by that in a physiological context?
It does sound abstract, but he's rooting this in very old traditions, specifically Chinese medicine and even modern physics. The core concept is just everything is energy. I mean, at a subatomic level, that's just physics. Thoughts are energy. They're electrical impulses in your brain. Emotions create chemical and electrical energy. Health, in this view, is defined as the state where energy flows freely through the system.
Okay, and disease is?
Disease, or disease, begins when there's a blockage in that flow.
So before you get the ulcer or the tumor or the chronic pain, you have the blockage.
Precisely. He describes it as a cascade effect. It almost never starts with the physical symptom.
Right.
It starts energetically. Maybe you have a conflict at work that you just don't resolve, you swallow it down. That's an energetic blockage.
Okay.
If that persists, it then manifests mentally or emotionally. You feel irritable, you feel anxious. Maybe you hold all this tension in your shoulders. And finally, if you ignore that for long enough, it solidifies into a physical symptom, a real diagnosable problem.
So the physical symptom is the last stop on the train, not the first.
Correct. And if you only treat the physical symptom, if you just take a pill for the headache or the stomach ache, you're missing the root cause completely.
You're just painting over the check engine light.
That's the perfect analogy for it.
Let's unpack this with a specific example he gives, because this one really, really hit home for me. Digestion. We think of the gut as this, machine that processes that sandwich you ate for lunch.
Yeah, takes out the protein, the carbs, and gets rid of the rest. Simple.
Right. But Boulahrir says the gut doesn't just digest food, it digests emotional chunks.
That is such a powerful metaphor, isn't it?
Yeah.
Digesting emotional chunks. And think about our language. We use it all the time.
Yeah.
We say things like, I can't stomach this situation, or he has a lot of gall, or it was a gut-wrenching experience.
They're not just phrases.
They aren't just poetic phrases, they are biological realities. Our ancestors knew this.
He specifically mentions lower back pain in this context.
Yes. In his practice, he sees a massive, massive correlation between chronic lower back pain and suppressed anger or rage.
Anger.
Yeah.
In the back. How does that work mechanically?
Well, it's all about tension in the nervous system. When you are angry or you feel threatened, what does your body do? It prepares to fight.
Right. Fight or flight?
Your muscles contract. Your fascia, the connective tissue, tightens up. If you don't express that anger, if you swallow it, that tension doesn't just evaporate, it gets stored.
Okay.
A tense body cannot let go. And he means that metaphorically with the emotion, but also quite literally when it comes to digestion and elimination.
So you're just walking around with a clenched system. Everything is tight.
Exactly. And this connects directly to how we grow up.
Yeah.
This is such a crucial point for the listener to grasp. If you grew up in a stressful environment, say your parents fought a lot or it was just a chaotic household, your nervous system developed in a state of high alert. You internalize that tension. It becomes your default setting.
So you're a kid. You're just soaking up this stress like a sponge, and your baseline becomes fight or flight. You don't even know you're stressed. You just think that's what being alive feels like.
That's the real danger of it. Your system learns to produce high cortisol and inflammatory markers as a survival strategy, trying to protect you.
Right.
But fast forward 20 or 30 years, you're an adult, you're safe, but your nervous system is still acting like you're in that chaotic childhood home. You have a dysregulated nervous system.
And let me guess. That dysregulation hits the gut first.
It almost always hits the gut first.
Yeah.
It's the most sensitive and vulnerable part of that system.
So you could be eating the perfect diet, taking all the expensive probiotics, doing the yoga, but if your nervous system is stuck in 1995 fight or flight mode from your childhood, your gut is still going to suffer.
That is the crux of it. You cannot heal a physical gut issue if the energetic and nervous system signal is constantly screaming, danger.
Why is that?
The gut shuts down when it thinks you are in danger because digestion is expensive energy-wise.
Yeah.
Your body doesn't care about digesting a sandwich if it thinks you're running from a lion. All that energy goes to your muscles.
This leads us right into the anatomy of how this happens. The gut-brain highway. I think most people have heard of the vagus nerve by now. It's having a bit of a, pop culture moment.
It really is.
But Boulahrir explains it in a way that makes it so clear why mental health is actually gut health.
The vagus nerve is the superhighway. It's the longest cranial nerve. It connects the brainstem to the gut, the heart, the lungs. It's the main line of communication. But here's the statistic that always shocks people. We often think the brain is the CEO, telling the gut what to do. But about 80 to 90% of the fibers in the vagus nerve are efferent.
Efferent, meaning?
Meaning they carry signals from the gut up to the brain.
80 to 90%. So the gut is doing most of the talking.
The gut is the chatty one, yes. And if the gut is unhappy, the brain hears about it, loud and clear. But bad traffic travels up too. Boulahrir talks about inflammation taking this route.
How does inflammation travel up a nerve? That sounds weird.
It triggers a chain reaction. So if your gut is inflamed, maybe from food, maybe from that stress we just talked about, that inflammation creates chemical signals. They're called cytokines.
Okay.
These cytokines travel up the vagus nerve, and they affect specific cells in the brain called glial cells.
Glial cells. I've heard of neurons, but what are glial cells?
Think of neurons as the rock stars of the brain. They're the ones getting all the attention. Glial cells are the roadies, the security, and the janitors. They support the neurons, they clean up debris, they regulate the whole environment.
They do all the real work.
They do all the real work. But when they get the signal of inflammation coming up from the gut, they stop being janitors and they start being soldiers. They get inflamed themselves.
And when the support staff goes on strike, what happens to the rock stars?
The show completely falls apart. Specifically, when glial cells are inflamed, they disrupt the production of neurotransmitters.
Okay, so we're talking about...
We're talking about dopamine, serotonin, acetylcholine. These are your happiness, motivation, and focus chemicals. They stop being produced efficiently.
So let's play this out slowly. You have an inflamed gut. That inflammation travels up to the brain via the vagus nerve. The glial cells get agitated. Your brain stops making enough serotonin. You feel depressed. You go to a doctor.
And the doctor says, you're depressed. It's a chemical imbalance in your brain. Here's an antidepressant.
But the imbalance isn't originating in the brain. It's starting in the stomach.
Exactly. Boulahrir describes this specific scenario. He's seen people who have been in therapy for years and years for depression or anxiety with zero results.
And you can see why.
Right. Because they are treating a mental defect that doesn't exist. The actual cause is a gut infection or a parasite or just chronic gut inflammation. The brain is just the messenger that's getting shot. It's reacting to the signal it's getting from the gut.
That is both terrifying and so liberating. It means you're not broken, you're just inflamed.
It's a huge paradigm shift.
But we need to get technical here. How does the gut get that inflamed in the first place? I mean, aside from the emotional stuff, biologically, what is breaking down? We have to talk about leaky gut.
Yeah, this is a term that used to be dismissed by doctors as, pseudoscience.
Oh, for sure.
But it is now becoming absolutely central to understanding almost all chronic disease. To understand it, you have to visualize the gut lining. It's incredibly thin. It's only 1 cell thick.
1 cell thick, that's it. That seems, I don't know, incredibly fragile for a barrier that handles stomach acid and bacteria and everything we eat.
It is fragile, and these cells are glued together by these protein structures called tight junctions. Think of it like a very, very fine mesh net, or like Velcro holding the cells tightly together.
Okay.
This barrier is supposed to be intelligent. It lets nutrients through into the bloodstream, but it keeps bacteria, toxins, and undigested food out.
But stress ruins that Velcro.
This is where the mechanism gets so fascinating. When you are stressed, your body releases cortisol. We all know that. But it also triggers the release of a specific protein called zonulin.
Zonulin. Okay, that sounds like a villain in a sci-fi movie.
It kind of acts like one in this context. Zonulin is the key that unlocks those tight junctions. It literally unzips the Velcro, holding your gut wall together.
Wow.
Boulahrir explains that this isn't just stress in the abstract. It's a direct biochemical unlocking mechanism. Stress tells the body to open the gates.
So zonulin opens the gates. Now you have a leak. What happens then? What gets through?
Now you have a breach in the fortress wall. Bacterial remnants, toxins, little undigested food particles. They all spill into the bloodstream where they absolutely do not belong.
And the immune system, which is patrolling the blood, must just freak out.
It declares total war. That's a good way to put it. The immune system sees these particles as foreign invaders, as enemies. It attacks. And this creates low-grade chronic inflammation throughout the entire body. It's not a sharp pain, like a sprained ankle. It's a systemic, simmering fire. It can affect your joints, your brain, your thyroid, your skin.
But quotes Hippocrates here, right? All disease begins in the gut.
Yes, the father of modern medicine said that 2,000 years ago. But Boulahrir offers a modern update to that. He says, all disease begins in a leaky gut.
He mentions skin specifically, and I know so many people struggling with adult acne or eczema. It's so frustrating.
The skin is often a mirror of the gut. He says something like 80 to 90% of skin health is determined by what's happening inside your gut.
80 to 90%.
Yeah. You can buy the $200 cream, you can do all the peels, but if your gut is leaking toxins into your blood, the skin will never truly clear up.
Why is that?
The skin is an elimination organ. If the gut is overwhelmed and can't handle the toxic load, the body tries to push those toxins out through the skin. It's an inside-out job, always.
This brings us to the food part. Because if I have a leaky gut or I'm stressed, the standard advice is eat healthy, right? Eat more fiber, eat whole grains. But Boulahrir drops a truth bomb here that I think will confuse a lot of people. He says healthy food might be poison for you.
This is the concept of bio-individuality, and he uses a brilliant analogy to explain why that standard eat more fiber advice can actually make things so much worse.
The Sahara versus the Amazon?
Exactly. Think of the gut microbiome, the trillions of bacteria living in you, as an ecosystem. A healthy gut is the Amazon rainforest. It's lush, it's biodiverse, there are thousands of species thriving in there. It can handle anything. You throw a raw kale salad at it, no problem. The bacteria are there to break it down.
But an unhealthy gut,
An unhealthy gut one that's been damaged by antibiotics or chronic stress or years of processed food is the Sahara Desert. It's barren. The diversity is gone. There are very few species living there.
So standard advice says, here, take 30 grams of fiber, eat this raw broccoli, it's healthy.
But if you dump 30 grams of raw, hard-to-digest fiber into the Sahara, well, there is no one there to process it. Fiber is food for bacteria.
All right.
If the bacteria aren't there to eat it, that fiber just sits there. It ferments. It basically rots, effectively. And that causes massive bloating, pain, and gas.
So you're trying to do the right thing, but you're just causing a huge traffic jam in your colon.
You're making the problem worse. He says you have to treat the gut you have, not the gut you want. If you have a Sahara gut, you have to build up tolerance slowly, gently. You can't just drop a rainforest diet onto a desert landscape and expect it to work.
So what are we supposed to feed the good guys if we can't handle the heavy roughage yet? He talks about short-chain fatty acids, SCFAs.
This is the gold that's produced by good bacteria. When you have the right kinds of bacteria and you feed them soluble fibers, things that are much easier to digest, they produce these SCFAs. The most famous one is butyrate.
Why do we want these SCFAs? What do they do that's so special?
They are miraculous little molecules. They serve as the primary fuel source for the cells lining your colon. They literally repair those leaks we talked about.
Yeah.
They help close the tight junctions.
So they're like the construction crew for the gut wall.
Exactly. They also reduce inflammation, and they can even cross the blood-brain barrier to fuel the brain. They are incredibly important.
And where do we get the soluble fiber to make this gold if I can't eat the raw kale yet?
He lists things like sweet potato, pumpkin, onion, garlic, chicory. But the key is that they should be cooked, soft. Soluble fibers dissolve in water. They turn into a gel. These are much, much gentler on a Sahara gut than the insoluble fiber found in raw bran or, the tough stalks of broccoli.
Got it. So gentle, cooked veggies to start. Repair the lining first. Now here is where it gets really interesting for me. I grew up in the era of stoking the metabolic fire, the bodybuilder advice from the 90s.
Oh, yeah. Eat every 2 to 3 hours.
Eat 6 times a day, 3 meals, 3 snacks, keep the blood sugar steady. Boulahrir basically takes that advice and just throws it in the trash.
He takes a sledgehammer to it, and for very good reason. From an immunological perspective, eating 6 times a day is a disaster.
But why? I thought we needed constant fuel. I thought if I didn't eat every 3 hours, my body would go into starvation mode and my metabolism would crash.
That's the myth. Here is the actual biology. Every single time you eat, no matter how healthy the food is, even if it's a perfect organic apple, the body has to process foreign material. It has to identify it, break it down, and decide if it's safe. This process triggers a mild immune response. It's called postprandial inflammation, inflammation after eating.
So every meal is a mini event for the immune system, a little stress test.
Yes. And normally that's fine. It peaks and then it goes down. Your body handles it. But if you eat 6 times a day...
You are triggering 6 separate inflammatory events.
Exactly. Your immune system never gets a break. It is constantly on patrol, constantly checking the borders. You are keeping your body in a chronic state of low-grade digestive stress.
The cleanup crew never gets a chance to come in and sweep the floor because the party never stops.
That's it. And if you're snacking in between, a handful of almonds here, a cookie there...
That's 10 times a day.
Or more. Eating frequency is arguably more important than what you are eating when it comes to managing inflammation.
Wow. So what's the alternative?
Intermittent fasting, or at the very least, time-restricted eating. He suggests something as simple as just stopping eating early in the evening, between 6:00 p.m. and 7:00 p.m. Give your body a long window, 12, 14, 16 hours, where it doesn't have to digest anything. That's when the repair happens.
He also mentions meal timing in a way that goes against our whole social culture. We usually have a light breakfast, a medium lunch, and then a huge dinner.
Which is completely biologically backwards. He says we should eat our biggest meal at lunch. That is when your digestive fire, your enzymatic capacity, is at its absolute peak. Your body is ready to work. Eating a massive steak dinner at 8 p.m. when your body is trying to wind down and go into repair mode for the night. It's a huge burden. It lowers your sleep quality, and your system is trying to digest overnight instead of heal.
It makes so much sense. We treat our bodies like 24-hour convenience stores, but they're not. They have shifts.
They absolutely have shifts. The night shift is for repair, not for digestion.
Okay, I want to pivot to something that plagues so many people. Weight loss. Boulahrir says something that I think might comfort a lot of listeners who feel like they're failing. He says, You can only let go when you are relaxed.
He is talking about the weight loss paradox. It's huge. We think weight loss is simple math, calories in, calories out. But the body is a survival machine, not a calculator. If you are stressed, and remember, that could be work stress, emotional trauma, or the gut inflammation we just discussed, the body interprets that stress as a threat.
Like a tiger's in the bushes.
Yes, exactly. And if a tiger is chasing you, does your body want to burn off its precious energy reserves?
Yeah.
No. It wants to hoard them. It holds on to fat because fat is survival fuel. Fat is insurance against the famine or the long winter or the tiger attack.
So the more you stress about losing weight and the more you restrict calories, which is a stressor in itself, the more your body literally clings to the weight.
It's a vicious, vicious cycle. Boulahrir actually claims that today, stress is a bigger cause of obesity than food itself.
Wow, that is a huge statement.
It is. If you are in survival mode, your metabolism slows down to conserve energy.
Yeah.
You cannot lose weight effectively until the body gets the signal that it is safe.
There's also a bacterial component to being slim versus overweight. Right?
Yeah.
It's not just about behavior or willpower. It's in your gut.
This is fascinating science. It turns out slim isn't just a body type, it's a microbiome profile. Slim people tend to have higher populations of bacteria called bacteroidates and a very specific bacteria called Akkermansia mucinifila.
Akkermansia. It sounds like a Harry Potter spell. What does that one do?
It's a very specialized bug. It actually feeds on the mucus layer of your gut.
That sounds bad.
It sounds bad, but it's amazing because it stimulates your gut to produce fresh, thick, healthy mucus. So it strengthens the barrier. It also helps regulate glucose metabolism and insulin sensitivity. It's a key player.
And overweight people.
They often lack Akkermansia. They have higher inflammation and fewer antimicrobial peptides, which are the things needed to keep the bad bugs in check. And get this, their gut ecosystem is literally harvesting more calories from the food they eat than a slim person's gut would.
You're kidding me. So two people could eat the exact same meal.
And the person with the overweight microbiome will extract and store more calories from it. It's not fair, but it's the biology.
So say you're listening to this and you're doing everything right. You're managing stress, you're eating well, but the weight isn't moving. Boulahrir suggests a specific test.
The IgG test. This tests for food intolerances. And this is crucial. We're not talking about allergies, which are an IgE response.
Right.
That's when you get hives or your throat closes up immediately.
Right. Anaphylaxis.
We're talking about intolerances, an IgG response, which are slow, low-grade immune responses that can take up to 72 hours to show up.
He shared a story about his own intolerances, didn't he?
Yes. He found out he was intolerant to strawberries, lentils, and mushrooms.
Those are all healthy foods. I love lentils. They're supposed to be great for you.
Exactly. For someone else, lentils are a superfood. For him, they were a trigger. His immune system was tagging the proteins and lentils as enemies. So every time he ate them, his immune system would launch an attack, creating inflammation.
And inflammation causes water retention.
Right. So much of what we call stubborn water weight is often just inflammation.
Yeah.
If you are eating your specific trigger foods every single day, your body is chronically inflamed and holding on to fluid as a defense mechanism.
So you cut out the trigger foods, the immune system calms down, the inflammation drops, and suddenly the weight just falls off.
It's often that dramatic. He suggests that if you are stuck, stop guessing and get tested. Find out what your body sees as a threat.
We've talked about food and stress, but we have to talk about the modern environment we live in. We're bathing in things our ancestors never had to deal with, specifically screens.
Ah, the modern dopamine trap. Boulahrir touches on this, and it's so important. Constant scrolling doesn't just waste time. It physically changes your brain chemistry. It leads to what he calls dopamine burnout.
Is that why we feel that weird emptiness after an hour on TikTok or Instagram?
Yes, you're overstimulating the reward centers of your brain until they become resistant. It's like listening to loud music all day. Eventually, you go deaf to it. You need more and more stimulation just to feel normal.
And you end up feeling empty, unmotivated.
And depressed, you've burned out your ability to feel pleasure from normal things.
But beyond the dopamine, there is the light itself, the blue light.
This is a huge part of his whole energy thesis. We are beings of light. Our cells are designed to react to light frequencies. Blue light, the kind from your phone and your laptop, is a signal. In nature, high-intensity blue light only exists during the middle of the day.
So when I stare at my phone at 11:00 p.m.,
You are screaming at your brain that it is high noon. Blue light absolutely blocks melatonin, the sleep hormone. But he also mentions it causes dry, blurry eyes and physical fatigue. It directly affects the mitochondria in your eyes and brain.
He suggests blue light blocking glasses. It sounds so simple, but it can be a total game changer for sleep. But then he goes into something deeper, red light therapy.
Yes.
Okay, I have to pause here. Red light therapy. I see these panels all over Instagram, usually being sold by influencers with six-pack abs, and honestly, my scamdar goes off a little bit.
I get it. I was skeptical too.
It feels like snake oil. Does Buhler actually provide a mechanism for this, or are we just, hoping it works?
I had the same reaction initially. It sounds like magic. But Buhler argues it's definitely not hype, and he breaks down the cellular mechanics. It's not about the light itself, in a magical sense. It's about the mitochondria.
The powerhouse of the cell. I remember that.
High school biology pays off, yes. Your mitochondria have a specific receptor in them called cytochrome C oxidase.
Okay.
This receptor is specifically designed to absorb red and near-infrared light. When it absorbs this light, it essentially gets supercharged. It kicks out a nitric oxide molecule and allows more oxygen in, which lets it produce more ATP.
ATP is energy, so
Right.
you're literally charging your cellular batteries.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
This helps cells repair and function better. He mentions it for the thyroid specifically, which is really interesting.
Why the thyroid?
The thyroid gland is extremely energy demanding. It's also very close to the surface of the skin. If you can boost the mitochondrial function in the thyroid cells, the organ just works better. He cites studies showing red light can help normalize TSH levels in patients with Hashimoto's.
And he even suggests shining it on your stomach.
Yes, to lower gut inflammation. There are studies showing that shining red light on the abdomen can lower systemic inflammation markers like CRP, C-reactive protein. It literally calms the inflammation in the gut tissue from the outside in.
That is wild. It's like photosynthesis for humans.
In a way, it is. We often forget that we evolved outdoors. We are part of nature. We need specific light spectrums just as much as we need vitamins.
So we've got the problems, stress, food, light, emotional blockages. Now let's talk solutions. Buhler has a framework he calls the BBOV protocol. It's an acronym in Dutch, but we'll translate and break it down.
It stands for Bewegen, movement, Biorhythm, on-spanning, relaxation, voting, nutrition, and verdering, digestion.
Let's run through these because he has some specific nuances for each. Movement. He's not just saying go for a walk.
No, he really emphasizes high-intensity interval training, or HIT. He says you need to shock the body occasionally. We are built for short bursts of intense activity. Running from the tiger, hunting the mammoth.
Right. Use it or lose it.
Exactly. And strength training. He says strength training is vital for longevity. Muscle isn't just for looking good. It is an endocrine organ.
What does that mean?
It means it sends out chemical signals, called myokines, to the rest of the body to stay young and repair itself. If you lose muscle as you age, you lose that powerful anti-aging signaling.
Next is biorhythm. This is the living in sync with nature part we touched on with the light.
Right. It means respecting the clock. Morning sunlight in your eyes within the first hour of waking to wake up the brain and set the rhythm for the whole day. Afternoon daylight to build up the sleep pressure for later, and winding down when the sun goes down. We are fighting our biology by living under harsh fluorescent lights until midnight.
Then relaxation or on-spanning. This isn't just about bubble baths and massages. He talks about the inner dialogue.
This is huge. He asks a simple question. How do you talk to yourself? A loving, compassionate inner voice reduces cortisol. A critical, harsh inner voice spikes cortisol just as much as an external threat.
So if you are constantly berating yourself, why did you eat that? You're so lazy. You are physically stressing your body with your own thoughts.
Yes, your body hears every single thought and reacts accordingly. Relaxation is a mental discipline, not just a physical act.
Then nutrition, voting. We covered a lot here already, but what's his baseline recommendation for most people?
He leans toward the Mediterranean diet as the most evidence-based for longevity and overall health. It's a good balance of plants and animal protein. He advises against extremes like strict keto or strict veganism unless you really, really understand the biochemistry and you're supplementing properly. For example, vegans need to be incredibly careful about getting enough B12, iron, and an often overlooked nutrient called choline, which is critical for brain health and is mostly found in egg yolks and liver.
And finally, digestion verdering. This is the mechanical part.
Yeah, this is about the basics, addressing stomach acid. Many people think they have too much acid when they get heartburn, but often it's the opposite. They have too little acid.
How does that cause heartburn?
because the food isn't being properly sterilized and broken down, so it sits in the stomach and ferments, and the pressure pushes back up. And he also talks about just chewing your food properly. Simple, but powerful.
Which leads to his car anecdote. I love this because I'm so guilty of this.
We all are. It's the perfect illustration of how you eat versus what you eat. You can have a perfect organic apple, the healthiest food. But if you eat it while driving in rush hour traffic, stressed out, someone cuts you off. What is your body doing?
It's in fight or flight. Blood is going to the muscles away from the stomach.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Your digestion is effectively shut down. You will not absorb the nutrients well, and that apple might even sit there and ferment and cause bloating.
Versus eating that same apple sitting at a table relaxed, looking out a window, taking deep breaths.
Completely different nutritional uptake, a different biological event. The how matters more than the what. You are what you absorb, not just what you eat.
We touched on fasting earlier, but I want to circle back to it in the context of this protocol. He calls fasting the cleanup crew.
Yes. This connects to a process called autophagy, which means self-eating. When you stop eating for an extended period, your body switches from growth mode to repair mode. It starts scavenging for old, damaged cells and misfolded proteins and recycles them for energy.
So it's like cellular spring cleaning.
It is. And it triggers bacteria like that Akkermansia we mentioned to literally scrub the gut lining clean.
And what about the mental clarity people always report when they fast?
That's because the massive amount of energy usually used for digestion, which is a huge energy sink, is suddenly available for other things. A lot of it gets rerouted to the brain and for repair processes.
But, and this is a big but, he has a really important warning, and I'm glad he included this because fasting is very, very trendy right now.
It's crucial. He says fasting is a hormetic stressor. That means it's a good stress, like exercise. It makes you stronger. But if you are already burned out, if your cortisol's through the roof, if you're in a high-stress state, fasting might be the straw that breaks the camel's back.
So if you're barely holding it together, don't go and starve yourself for 3 days.
Please don't. It'll just add more stress to an overloaded system. You need resilience to fast effectively. You have to earn the right to fast by having a stable, healthy baseline first.
That is such important nuance. It's not one size fits all. Speaking of hidden crises, there was one final darker topic he touched on. The things we can't see that might be draining our battery. Viruses and parasites.
The hidden load. Boulahrir shares his personal story here, and it's very powerful. He had a tick bite years ago. He got Lyme disease but didn't catch it immediately.
He said he didn't feel sick in the traditional way at first. No fever, no bullseye rash that was immediately visible.
No, it was insidious. It was just fatigue, a deep, unshakable fatigue. Depression, a loss of mental clarity. He calls it seeing the other side of health. When you are that sick, you lose the mental capacity to even find the solution. You're in a fog. You don't have the energy to research or advocate for yourself.
It's a catch-22. You need energy to heal, but the sickness steals your energy.
Exactly. And he points out that so many cases of chronic fatigue or autoimmune issues can be traced back to dormant viruses like Lyme or Epstein-Barr, the monovirus. They just linger in the system, putting a constant low-grade load on the immune system.
It's like having an app running in the background constantly draining your phone battery.
That's the perfect way to describe it. You never feel fully charged.
And he mentions bioresonance as a way he treated it.
Yes, he found success with frequency therapy and bioresonance to target those specific viral loads when standard medical methods failed. It just emphasizes his open-minded, holistic approach. He's willing to look at the energy of the virus, not just the chemistry of it.
So we've covered the emotional roots, the gut-brain highway, the myth of the 6-meal day, the light spectrum, and these hidden viral loads. It's a lot. My brain is definitely digesting.
It is a lot, but it all comes back to one central, simple theme, really.
What's that?
Don't try to fit health into your life. Build your life around your health.
Oh, I love that. We usually do it the other way around, don't we? We hustle, we grind, we work 60 hours a week, and then we try to squeeze in a green smoothie or a gym session like it's another chore on the to-do list.
And Boulahrir says that's a losing battle. You have to prioritize the weakest link first. Ask yourself honestly, is it my stress? Is it my gut? Is it my sleep? Pick one. Focus on that. Fix that, and everything else gets easier.
And remember his philosophy. The chaotic world outside is often just a reflection of our internal chaotic states. If we want peace, if we want health, we have to fix the internal energy flow first.
Absolutely. Fixing your internal energy actually contributes to the whole. It's not a selfish act.
So here is my final thought for you to chew on, and preferably while you're sitting down and relaxed, not while you're driving. If Boulahrir is right, and your body holds on to weight or pain because it thinks it's in survival mode, what exactly are you surviving?
And that's the question, isn't it?
What emotional threat is your body bracing against that no amount of kale salad or time on the treadmill will ever fix? Maybe the most effective diet isn't a diet at all. Maybe it's simply letting go.
Couldn't have said it better.
Thanks for diving deep with us. Take care of your gut, check in with your feelings, and we'll see you in the next one.
Goodbye, everyone.